Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Vallen, and this is Inspirations, a mod by KnightMiner. It's designed to add a little bit extra that vanilla may have overlooked. Alright, so there is actually quite a lot that this mod can change, and remember, as usual, almost everything can be modified or changed in the configs, so don't think that all these things are necessarily going to happen or are set up to work as intended perfectly how you want. They may be customizable or changed depending upon the mod pack you are in or how you have things set up yourself. Now, let's get things started with something simple like a bookshelf. These are the new bookshelves. You can still make the old ones, but you can now make these other ones. They come in, of course, your standard colors. They might come in some other ones as well, depending upon the mods you have installed. And they have some different styles as well, if you notice the different books in each one. This one here is a standard bookshelf. Then you've got your rainbow bookshelf, a tomes bookshelf, an ancient bookshelf, and then, back to rainbow, but this one here, it's just a little bit scattered. The reason I have that showing is because you can actually, I have a bunch of books placed in here, so you can actually remove them. They're very interactable. You just click on the front face of the bookshelf to open up the UI, or you can actually click on the books themselves to interact with each of them. And yes, the rainbow bookshelf, it just gives off, each of these different styles gives off a look of the book itself. If you want the standard one and you want to actually customize it, you can even do that. Because if you look here, this is a regular bookshelf, it's just in a dark oak style. And if I click on it, you can see I've got different colored books. You can make different colored books with different colored dyes and so on, so that you can actually customize it as you want. So if you go with the standard one, you can actually have whatever color book style you want, or you can go with these like little stylized ones as well. Not to mention that they also function as a bookshelf for terms of enchanting. So if you have one of these things filled up to the brim with books, then it is actually going to count as 1.5 times that of a vanilla bookshelf. And to further that, you can make it even more compact. For instance, this one here has a whole bunch of enchanted books in it. This one here counts as 2.5 times that of a bookshelf for vanilla enchanting mechanics. So it's pretty darn cool how it works like this. You can set them up how you want. You can colorize them, change them up quite a lot. It's really, really nice. And that's just one of the few things. There's a ton more. Let's continue on, shall we? We've got enlightened bushes. These... if I stand here, I've got a little setup here. You can actually see that they give off light. Allow me to turn on, you can see the different light values over there. So we're actually getting some light from these items off in this area just by turning it to nighttime for a brief moment. But they do quite nicely add and merge into different trees. I've got a little tree here with just some of the rainbow enlightened bushes on the side. And each one is made in a different way, but basically you're adding some kind of glowstone to it, as well as maybe some other coloring. In this case, you've got some red dye of some sort, and so on. And you can change those up as you would like. It's pretty darn cool how you can kind of customize it. I especially like that you can place them down, use them as bushes and or tree decorations yourself. Now, talking about more decorations, we have these glass doors and glass trap doors. They function as you would expect. Doors open and close, normal stuff. But if you were to just break it by hand, you would end up breaking the glass door or the trap door. You would need, in fact, a silk touch item in order to be able to do so. So that's just something to keep in mind. But the recipes for these are actually relatively simple, just a bunch of glass panes for either case. And of course, moving on, we have mulches. You might not get very excited about mulches, but they can help dress up your garden. Therefore, you can plant nearly anything on it that is typically planted on grass or dirt, but for saplings. And in this case, I've got an oak sapling. I'm right-clicking. Nothing happens. But I can plant things like more flowers on these and so on. So you can actually have a mulched garden if you like. And they come, of course, in your different colors. They've got 8 different colors here. This one here being black mulch, has a black dye with some sticks around it. Your standard one is just over here, which I believe is just 4 sticks. So you've got your brown mulch. It's pretty darn cool. A lot of just aesthetic stuff to start with, but there is a whole bunch more to come, including a bunch of paths. This here is a cobble path. You've got your round path, your path tiles, and of course your path bricks, which you can put on top of multiple different surfaces and allow you to see through them. They do kind of take up a little bit of a space like a carpet block does, and each one is made primarily with the different materials you see here. And to give you an idea of a recipe for it, it's just a couple cobblestone will get you 3 of the cobblestone path, etc. They're really cool, and I just like having the option for them. Moving on from that, we've got a little bit of an accessible item, and that is rope, vine rope, regular rope, vine rope, and of course chains, which I actually really like the look of those. But the recipe for this one, rope is just some string, vines is going to be a bunch of vines, and chains, well, that's you don't make chains normally, but you can with some iron bars. So that will allow you to use each of those, and instead of just being decorative, they're actually useful as well. Now, they do have to be attached to the underside of a solid block, so you can't just put it underneath a bunch of leaves. It would have to be underneath a log or a piece of dirt or something like that. And basically you can climb up them as if you would a regular ladder and so on. So therefore they work pretty darn good like that. You can feasibly have a little difficulty getting around them because they're not as wide as a ladder. But as long as you stay centered, you should be all right with going up and down those. They're pretty cool. Now, moving on from there, we have flowers, a slight change to flowers. Not a lot, just a little. If I change into survival here, and you'll see we have some peonies. If I were to left click on the top, I get the flower. If I left click on the bottom, I get multiple flowers. I get 2 peonias, which is just an additional way of doing things. And if I put these down, like so, and I'll put down that other peony just in case, get a little bit of bone meal in my inventory, and I use it on one of these peonias, it will turn it back into a full-size peony, which if you break it by hand, you get the entire plant. Same thing with these here, and it works the same with rose bushes and roses, as well as lilacs and these new little syringas, which are pretty darn cute in my opinion. After that, we've got a few different things. We have one. If you look here, the dispenser has an anvil in it. And if I pull this lever, this of course pushed these blocks forward, but it will actually place an anvil in the world. Now if I pull this lever again, you'll notice that these different blocks, these are just example blocks, will therefore be affected by the anvils. Glass broke, smooth stone got crushed into cobblestone, you had some sandstone got turned into sand, you had of course cobblestone got turned into gravel, and so on. There are plenty more different things that anvils can affect now. So this is one way that you can feasibly use it, is including being able to dispense them from dispensers. And no, giving another redstone signal to the dispenser does not pick them back up. It just will allow the placement of them. Now, cauldrons. Cauldrons have changed quite a bit. Instead of the 2D little sprite that they had, you now have a 3D model. Ooh, really pretty. But this also changes how it works a little bit. It does still function the same way, but you can now use it for brewing. Yes, brewing. So if I take a bucket of water, put it over here, and you see that it currently has ongoing fire underneath it. This will start boiling, etc. And I can put ingredients inside of it. Let's put some nether wart inside. All right, is it going to do anything? No. Reason being is that the recipe for using nether wart to make something like a mundane potion requires actually a little bit of a change. Now, if you look here, let's see. A mundane potion will take a couple bottles worth. So it's not going to do anything with the 3 that are in there right now. If you look in the top left, it says 3 bottles worth. So if I take one out, just wait, and it should automatically, there we go, turn it into 2 bottles worth of awkward potion. The reason that this is set up like this is because it's instantaneous and there's no blaze powder used up. So therefore you get less of a yield for the instantaneous effect and the lack of needing blaze powder. So this is just another way of crafting it and kind of rebalancing it a little bit. Now if I wanted to take this a step further, I could toss in a golden carrot, and then I make myself a couple bottles of night potion. Let's just drink that water bottle, use this, and I now have a potion of night vision that I can use, just like that, just by clicking an empty bottle on it. It's pretty good. Now, I can put it back too, because it's the same stuff. And if you have these things full and they are already making some kind of potion in it, you break the cauldron, you might get an area effect for a little bit of time, like a lingering potion would in that case. Moving on from that, we have a little bit of a change with cauldrons on how they dye things. Of course, if I go into creative mode so that this is a lot easier on me, you can just fill this up with water. As you see here, there's no flame underneath or anything, and you can tint it, and therefore I can also add others and change the colors as I want, making it all the way to something very bright and white, or even darker, etc. And just keep on changing it around as I want, adding more or less to it. If I take something like a leather tunic, it would normally make this, as you see here, it is currently dyed. Therefore, if I take this, make it a bit greener, put that in, I get different color. And of course, because I'm in creative, it's spawning a new one instead of just dyeing the old one. But you get the idea. This is one way that you can use these and so on. But if you also have made one of the 16 basic Minecraft colors, in this case, I have cyan dyed bottled water. So if I were to just have added in one item of cactus green instead of the mixture of the bone meal and the cactus green that I have been doing, and then I were to grab a bottle, I'd get a bottle of green dye, or a cyan, it would be a green dyed water bottle. In this case, I've got cyan dyed water bottle, and you can use this in the same way you would any other cyan dyed dye, to use it on white wool or terracotta, glass, and so on. So this is another way of actually having dyes. You can create bottles of them to be used as you would like in that case. Now over here, there is the last way that I know of in order to use cauldrons with this new effect. I have a bottle or a bucket of water already boiling in here. I have this new ingredient, mushrooms. No, it's nothing really new, but it is new at the same time. If you look here, mushrooms are made from 2 mushrooms individually put together, one of each type, and you get a couple grouping used in brewing mushroom stew. So if I get 2 of these, I can therefore, there we go. I just duplicated them because I'm in creative, but I now have a couple of them. If I throw these in, put them in there, because it's boiling as well as part of the ingredient, I now have mushroom stew, which is pretty darn neat, because if I take a bowl, I can then fill it up and have myself a bowl of mushroom stew. Nom nom nom. Pretty good stuff. But enough about cauldrons. Let's continue moving on to other items, shall we? Now, if we go over here, I have set up kind of like a little bit of an archery contest looking thing here. But as I am in creative, I want to show you the redstone charger first, which the recipe is just gold and redstone. Come over here. If you click on things, it will give a redstone signal briefly for that area. So I click here, nothing happens. Up here, it does, because of where it is currently located. So therefore, I can give a redstone signal. Now, if I want it to be shorter, I can therefore right-click, or while sneaking, I was about to say shifting, but you see it's much quicker. If I kind of use this normally, it's a much slower pulse. So it just gives a brief redstone pulse. So if you just want to like kind of activate something, this can work really good. Can help replace a button in a hurry if you want. Now, alternate to that, you can also get yourself a bow and some charged arrows. The recipe for this is to use redstone. It does drastically less damage than your normal arrows would, but for good reason. So if you see here, it will then do the same thing, just at a distance, and so on. Therefore, allowing you to do things with redstone you wouldn't normally be able to do, like blowing up your local TNT area in the area. So now after that, of course, those are really cool, but we do have crooks, and of course a hoe at the end here. But if you look, wooden crook, stone crook, they're very basic recipes. Nothing really too much. We've got a blaze rod crook, withered bone crook, which these are a new drop from wither skeletons, are withered bones. Now, the wooden, stone, and bone crook all function the same in that they can affect an entity in the world. I put a pig here. I use the bone crook on it with a right click. It pulls the entity towards me. This will work on enemies and friendlies, passive, etc. So you can use it to kind of like drag them around. I'm just holding the button down and so on. But its primary use is not to be used to direct enemies around as much as it is to try and get saplings from trees. So if I go over here and I start doing this, I already got a sapling just by breaking this. And for those that are familiar with different sky blocks, you're going to have a better chance of getting saplings from the different trees just by breaking these things with a crook. At least that's the idea. Now, if I get back up here, you'll notice that there were some other ones besides the wooden, stone, and bone crook. That's the blaze rod crook. Using this on an entity, as we've got a little guy down here that we were using earlier, we'll set them on fire just by right-clicking and pull them towards you. And the withered one, I'll guess what that one's going to do. It's going to wither the enemy when you use it. I'm not going to demonstrate that. It's pretty straightforward. Now, in the configs, you can eliminate the ability to use these on trees if you want. and you can actually put it on a regular hoe, vanilla hoe, so that a hoe will actually work as a crook when trying to obtain your different like saplings and stuff like that. So that's pretty darn cool that you can do that. Now, alternately, we have some other stuff that you can do. I have a little pigoo here. Let's put a saddle on him, right? Normally, it's there forever. You got to kill the pig and stuff. But instead, you just right-click, and you get on the pig. Oh, no big deal. Shift right-click, and you get the saddle back. It's pretty darn cool. It's simple, effective, and something that should have been there from the start, in my opinion. So that's a really good one as well. Shears can be used on melons. If you use them in survival, just a left click, and boom, you get yourself a bunch of melon slices, as opposed to how you don't in current ones. But moving on from there, we've got locks and keys. Now I have a blank lock and a blank key and a key that's already been named. Now in this case, I've got a regular chest. Let's put a diamond shovel in there. It doesn't even have to have anything in there, but I'm just demonstrating how things will work. So a lock is made with iron ingot and a nugget. The key is made with an iron ingot and a nugget, just in different organization. So you take a blank lock to any chest, boop, the lock is blank. It must be named in an anvil. So let's put it over here, and we're going to call this one open up. Take it back out. Yes, it does require a level to do so. And then we're going to use it on this chest. You don't get it back. It's done. It's there forever. So, yes, people can break the chest, but it will keep them from opening the chest by accident or something like that while you're around, and therefore you will have to use something in order to open it. So if I use a blank key, nothing. If I use this one that says Open Sesame, because I renamed it, nothing. You have to actually have it with the same name. So in this case, let's make it Open Up. And yes, that does require a level to do so. And then I use it, and now I can access this chest. Pretty darn cool. It's a really neat ability, and I like how that is. Just don't lock your key that you were just using in that chest, or else you're not getting it back. But it's just something to keep in mind. Now, continuing on even further, there is plenty, still more to go. Don't worry. We've got this. Bricks. Aren't they great? They're the same as in vanilla, but slightly different. Ooh, they've got secret panels. You can press a little brick here that, if you look very closely, you should see that there's a little bit of an off-put here. And you can use them for secret passages and things like that, as well as if you notice there's some carpet on the floor, right? Just regular carpet. Well, not quite. This one back here is a trapdoor. So that's pretty darn cool. You can change the colors of those as well. And something like these here, you can actually make them with just that by adding a button to them. Makes the bricks button block. And then something like the trapdoor is just going to be a carpet and a trapdoor. They're really, really straightforward recipes that make a lot of sense. Now let's go on down here. And you'll notice that there is... Oh, I just stepped on something. It looks like the carpet, right? And there's carpeted stairs. That's right. So first, let's go over this. This is just light blue carpet on top of a stone pressure plate. So this is something else it adds. You can put this in here, and it helps to disguise it. It's not going to be perfect, but it does make it a little bit more, I don't know, just fitting in the room. So you don't have to have this one square of missing carpeting for like exiting your house or something like that. On top of that, you've got, of course, your stairs. If you look here, I've got a whole bunch of stairs, and you can put these on here. Now, if I try placing it on the front of the stair itself, now remember, this is like the top, front. So therefore, if I try placing it on the front, nothing happens. If I place it on top of the stair, it actually will place these carpet pieces, allowing you to have, well, just carpeted stairways, which is really, really cool. I like it quite a lot. It's nothing crazy, just simple and effective. Now this here is a collector. If I have a torch lever, and of course I have some items for it to do. Wait, a torch lever? What? This is just a torch with a piece of cobblestone, folks. You can make your own lever. If I grab a regular torch here, you'll notice that there is a slight difference between that and this, in that this one has kind of an orangish bit at the bottom. This one does not. So your torch lever looks a little different. Plus, if you have something like I do with the one probe in the top left corner, they're telling you what it is. That also might help reveal it. But how it works is you right click it and it acts like a lever, and it will actually change. So if I were to place this on top of a block, let's say here, oops, it might help if I actually use the actual torch lever. You can see it changes the direction that it tilts according to where you are clicking it as well. So it's pretty darn cool with how it works, but it does work as a redstone item, as you might think. You know, it is a lever per se. Now, if I were to use this collector, which is another thing, this is made with either fishing rod and redstone surrounded by cobblestone, or a dropper with a fishing rod around it. And yes, there is like a inbuilt crafting in here. So if you have something that uses like a dispenser and it has a recipe that will use this in it, it might actually use that recipe with it. So you don't have to like double craft something. Some of that concept is in this, but only on some of them. Now the collector, what does it do? It collects blocks. And why do I have a bunch of dirt? So that I can demonstrate this. Let's put some over here, one in the middle. Actually, that one might not take it, but click there, nothing happens, right? Because I didn't have anything in the block directly in front of it. So let me put one over here as well. And you can see some of these things. Now, if I click here, there we go. It sucked up the one piece of dirt. So you could have this on like some kind of cycle. You could have it set up with detection set up, and you can have it so that it will collect blocks that are just loose in the world in front of it. Therefore, you could just use that in many different functions and different ways. Now let's head back upstairs. I have another setup up here that involves trapped books, which is leather paper and a bit of redstone instead of that third piece of paper. And you can put it into one of these here. And you see here, it actually will generate a signal. If I break this comparator, there we go. And we put this here, you can see it actually gives off a bit of a signal. But it depends on the signal it gives. If I put this all the way over to the left, top left, you'll notice at the top left of my screen, it says power 2. Take that back out. Let's put it all the way to the bottom right. Power 15. So therefore, you can actually have this thing charged with different ways by placing a trapped book in one of these bookcases. It's pretty darn cool how that works. Now, continuing on, we still have more. We've got pipes that attach to hoppers. These are made with just some iron ingots, and you get 4 of them in a go. And this allows it so that you don't have to make multiple hoppers over and over and over again. You can just have these connected to a hopper. By themselves, they don't work. They have to be connected to a hopper in order for them to function. So in this case, let's look in the chest, nothing there. And I will throw in a bunch of junk that I don't really need in my inventory right now. So let's toss all these out. And you can see all of them went in the hopper, all went into the chest. And you might be able to configure this so that they can actually pipe up and down as well as you desire. Moving on from there, we have redstone torch levers and levers. Regular lever. Whoa, what did it just do? It's kind of weird. A redstone torch lever will function similar to a lever, but it's a little bit different. You see here, it just affects the same area. Now, if it is given a redstone signal at the same time, it will toggle its current setting. So you can see here, that turned it on, and that turned it off. So that is how it works. It's a lever that is, well, affected by other levers. Sometimes I've actually wanted to use that, so that I find that quite nice. Coming back up here and moving down and around, we have a little bit more to go. We have firework rockets. Now, firework rockets, I can get into a lot on how these are actually designed and stuff. I could set up a ton of them, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to tell you that basically the stripes on the rocket itself are now set up to match the color of the first firework star that goes off. Then the top of it, the very tip of the firework, is set to the color of the second star. And then the fuse color is relevant according to the duration of the firework itself, which is pretty darn cool. So that's pretty much it. This one being very bland. There you go. Nothing much. So it's not got a lot of color on it, etc. But if I were to do another item here, we're almost at the end here, folks. We're getting close. You've got sand. I can bone meal this stuff, and I can get dead bushes. So now if you need dead bushes for some reason, whether it be one reason or another, you can now bone meal sand and get dead bushes that way, which is pretty darn cool. Hi, little pigoo. And then we've got a little bit of a change to beets. There's a rare chance when harvesting beets that you might get one of these, a heart beet, which actually will grant you a little bit more food, a little bit more hunger back, and a bit of regeneration. Plus, it can be used to make potions of regeneration as you would do. Plus, you can use it in a Cauldron for the same thing. Now, there are some other new drops as well, like the silverfish powder may drop from silverfish. And of course, withered bones, I mentioned, may drop from wither skeletons. Silverfish powder might be used to grant a potion of haste, which could be really, really handy. Then, of course, you got you've got new potions in here: potion of fatigue, potion of hunger, potion of levitation. They're all corrupted versions of other potions. In this case, it's a potion of haste will make potion of fatigue, just corrupted with fermented spider eye. Potion of hunger is a corrupted potion of regeneration, and the potion of levitation is a corrupted version of potion of leaping. So you just keep on flying instead of coming back down to earth. Now, a shulker shell can be used to make a potion of resistance, and ink sac can be used to make a potion of blindness, which, and of course the withered bone, guess what it's going to do? A potion of decay, which gives a wither effect. So these can all be really good. I was just using this as an example. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers the majority of it. There is a possibility that I might have missed one or two items, but you get the idea. This has a lot of compatibility as well with things like Just Enough Items, Mod Tweaker, the One Probe, Tough as Nails, Wayla, and so on. It's pretty darn cool, the different options it adds, different availabilities, and of course, even some different lighting effects. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If so, be sure to give a like, comment, subscribe, and as always, be sure to spread the Mischief to others if you think that they'll enjoy this kind of content too. And if you want to support the Mischief, be sure to check out the links in the description below. And as always, see you next time.